Hi guys, so today I'm going to be filming my top recommendations for spring and summer fragrances for men. So I have mentioned it many times now, I'm currently in Dubai because of the whole lockdown with the coronavirus. Again, I hope everybody is staying safe, being responsible, trying to stay indoors as much as you can. Because actually in Dubai right now, we can't even leave our house unless it's for necessities. You have to stay indoors, otherwise you can get a massive fine. So I'm basically confined to just being inside, which is a little hard, but I'm sure there's much worse people going through a lot worse situations right now. So I'm very grateful for everything that I have, and it's kind of making me realize this a lot. Anyways, that's not what the video is about. Today I'm going to be going through my top recommendations, like I said, for spring and summer. Obviously, guys, I do not have all of my fragrances here in Dubai. I don't even have a quarter of my fragrances, so it is a little difficult to film and keep up my content. But I have a pretty incredible list of spring and summer fragrances that I cannot wait to talk about with you guys today. So let's just get into it. I have many fragrances here. This is a huge list, around 15 fragrances. So let's get into it. Where to start? I also want to say there's no order of which one I think is the best, but I will kind of recommend which ones I think are more spring and which ones I think are more summer. So let's start out with this fragrance, which I recently acquired this year. This is from Amouage and it is Bracken Man. Now, my boyfriend actually hates this fragrance. I personally love it. It is a very green aromatic fragrance that reminds me of it reminds me of a forest. Truly, it reminds me of this piney, dark green, aromatic, incredible forest scent. There is some patchouli in here. There's some cloves, there's definitely a spiciness to it, but it's not too much where it would become sickly in the warmer weather. There's an ultimate freshness to the scent, an ultimate greenness. So for me, yes, it has cloves, which usually are more associated with warmer fragrances. This one can be worn in the heat and it will smell incredible. But you definitely have to like green fragrances, you have to like aromatics, and yeah, for me, it's incredible and I highly, highly recommend it. I personally am a big fan of this scent, but definitely check this one out first before purchasing it. So Amouage Bracken Man. Okay, so the next fragrance that I have here is from Celia Cologne. I feel like Celia Cologne is the benchmark of fresh summer spring fragrances as far as a house goes. I feel like they do so many. The one that I have here is actually one that I recently tried, and it is Vetiver Fatale, which actually a lot of people told me to check this one out. I'm a big fan of Vetiver and I love this scent more. Specifically in the springtime. Same with the Amouage, I would recommend it in the spring rather than the high heat summer. Now this one is fantastic. I feel like a lot of people compare it to Byredo Bal d'Afrique. For me, I don't get the similarity so much, but it's really nice. It has vetiver, obviously. I believe it has some sort of fruity notes, but for me, it actually settles down to becoming quite of a warm scent. It doesn't say super fresh and green and citrusy. It's not like that at all. For me, it's a little more, there's a depth to it for sure. There's a woody depth to it. There's some sort of subtle kind of fruitiness, but very much in the background. I think it could be plum actually, that's in here if I remember from the notes. But for me, it's just a fantastic fragrance. You guys know I love vetiver, and this one is fantastic. It's definitely not my favorite vetiver fragrance, but it's a good one to check out, especially if you like the note. And for me, it's more of a spring scent. So Vetiver Fatale from Celia Cologne. Next up, we have Parfums de Marly Percival. Now, I only wanted to choose one from Marly because a lot of people always mention how much I talk about them. And if I had to recommend one for summer and spring, it's Percival. 100%, this is the best from the house for spring and summer. It's very, very, very intense. Do not underestimate the notes, anything. It is an intense fragrance for sure. The projection, sillage, longevity, performance on this fragrance is a beast. It's a beast. I believe there is some mandarin, bergamot, I've got the notes on the back here actually, lavender, amber, cardamom, tonka, but for me, it kind of sits along the lines of Chanel Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme. They give me similar feelings to them. It has a sporty scent to it for sure, and I just love it. It's fresh, a little bit creamy actually. There's definitely a slight creaminess to it, but it's fresh, it's invigorating, and you know, with more fresh fragrances, sometimes they have problems with longevity. This fragrance does not have a problem whatsoever. I would say it's like just as good performing as Ojan, Herod, and Leighton from the House of Marley. So Percival from Parfums de Marley, definitely an incredible one for the spring and summer. So next up, this one's kind of a bit unique to be including in a spring summer fragrance. Now this one is from Fragrance du Bois, and it is Milano. And if you know about this fragrance, it's actually a leather dominant fragrance, but the reason that I'm including it is because for me, this is a fresh leather. This is a fresh, almost fruity, like there's a slight fruity note to this fragrance. For me, it almost smells like melon, like rock melon, if you guys know what this is. It almost has a scent of rock melon in here mixed with leather. It's a little bit green, but it's very fresh, very uplifting, and I feel like this would be the perfect fragrance for like a spring night out. Like you're going out, even in the summer or spring, you're going for a night out. Milano, 10 out of 10, like for sure. So for me, this one is just incredible, and definitely check it out. If you like leather and you like you want something kind of a little more sexy for the spring and summer, you have to check out Milano. Usually leather is a note that bothers me. In here, it's done to perfection. So Milano from Fragrance du Bois. Next up, we have Christian Dior Eau Sauvage Parfum. This one goes without saying, like you guys knew it was going to be in the list. This one, been around forever. It's a very clean, soapy, gentleman vetiver. It reminds me a lot of Tom Ford Grey Vetiver, to be honest. There's a definite soapy note to it, but I actually prefer this one over the Tom Ford. There's a soapiness, very clean, very fresh, very masculine. Like there's no way I could ever see myself pulling off this fragrance in a million years. It's very masculine. And to me, like a classic gentleman. A gentleman out of the shower, it's perfect. So Eau Sauvage Parfum from Dior. So next up, another Celia Cologne. This one is definitely my favorite Celia Cologne for the summertime. I know a lot of people commented about how they don't agree with me. They don't think this one is as good. There is a lot from Celia Cologne that are incredible for the summertime, but I'm just bringing some light to this fragrance because I really enjoy it. Orange Sanguine from Celia Cologne. The most authentic orange juice fragrance ever that I've ever tried in my life. It literally smells like you're just squeezing orange juice on your face. Like it's incredible. It's very bitter, citrusy, invigorating, fresh. Longevity is not good at all, but I always say like fresh out of the shower, or maybe you're just going to run errands, or maybe you're just going for lunch, a quick meetup. This fragrance is perfect. It's not intense, it's not loud, it's just a fragrance that smells fantastic. And for the spring and summer, I actually feel like this fragrance is like one of the best, and it's very uplifting. Like a lot of people actually ask me what fragrances to wear in these dark times, and for me something like Orange Sanguine is perfect because it's very bright and happy and uplifting, and I feel like people need a fragrance like this in these times. So Orange Sanguine from Celia Cologne, definitely a fantastic one for the spring and summer. Okay, so next up we actually have an Initio, and this one is easily still one of my favorites from the house. I've mentioned it many times. Initio is one of my favorite fragrance houses ever. They do so many incredible fragrances. Like there's actually very few from the house that I don't enjoy. This one for me is perfect for the spring and summer, more specifically the springtime, especially for a night out. This is Rehab from Initio. Now this one, so good. It's musky. It's a little sweet, there's definitely some vanilla in there, but it's got this beautiful airy freshness from some bergamot, the muskiness, soft and musky and clean and a little sweet, a little fresh, definitely this sandalwood vibe to it, like very creamy. And I just adore this scent. It's got a very aphrodisiac sort of effect to me personally, and for the springtime, perfect. Like I really think this one is perfect, especially more for like a night out or a date or something like that. So Initio Rehab, incredible. Okay, so next up, I actually have one that I have not talked about for so long. Still one of my favorite men's fragrances. You guys have to realize, usually I only talk about the fragrances that I own personally. So it's very difficult because I actually have, obviously, in my head, I know so many fragrances. I've tried so many fragrances, but I usually only talk about the ones that I own, which is very limiting. And I used to own this fragrance a long time ago, and it's still one of my favorites right now. It is YSL Ted M. This is the Parfum concentrate, but I also love the Eau de Toilette, the Eau Fresh, not the Eau Vetiver. This one is incredible. Ted M is easily like one of my favorite fragrances for men, and I will forever say that because I have complimented, like literally me complimenting a guy many times when I've smelled this fragrance. It is just 10 out of 10. It's classic, it's refined, it's sexy, but in a very sophisticated way. It's not like a cheap sexy. Dior Sauvage. It's like a very expensive sexy fragrance that smells very refined. So Hermes, if you don't know, it's like a vetiver fragrance. It's got some like pink pepper, like this peppery sort of note to it. It's a green and woody, but it still has this very uplifting freshness to it, which is incredible, because sometimes woody fragrances can go very far south and become very heavy, sickly too much and a little too intense, maybe for the more summer, like winter, colder weather. But this one is perfect, especially in the spring and summertime for me personally. Like this could be your spring summer signature easily. So Hermes, Ted M, definitely incredible fragrance, and I highly recommend it. Especially in the sillage, that one, like the bubble that it leaves around you is the most intoxicating part of Hermes, Ted M for me personally. Okay, so we have a cheapie. Now I only just smelled this one like 2 days ago, and I had never actually tried it, bothered spraying it. I just smelled it from the cap and was like, whatever. But I sprayed it and I was like, wow, this is fantastic. And this is the most affordable fragrance in this list. And trust me guys, I'm not just including fragrances for the sake of it. This is really good. And I actually, it reminded me of a fragrance, and I looked on Fragrantica and a lot of people agree with me. So this is Tommy Bahama Maritime. This one is fantastic. Like I'm so happy that I actually bothered to spray it and try it because it's fantastic. This one is very good. It's like aromatic, fresh, a little juicy, maybe a little fruitiness. It reminds me a little bit of Abercrombie and Fitch, like First Instinct or one of the Abercrombie and Fitch fragrances, but this one to me smells better and a little higher quality, and it is fantastic. Like trust me on this one. If there's a fragrance in this list that you should just blind buy for the spring and summertime, it's this fragrance right here. I cannot see anybody disliking it, and for the price, what you're getting is perfection. For me, it's definitely more of a summer scent, like for sure, and one that you can just grab and go, grab it, go run errands, grab it, go to the beach, grab it, go on a date, whatever you want to do. It's perfect and it smells very good. So Tommy Bahama Maritime. Next up, we have another fragrance to Bois, and this one is a recent acquisition, and I am obsessed with this fragrance. Like I am obsessed with it, and I don't hear anybody talk about this one. It's incredible. I believe it was composed by Christian Carbonell, I'm pretty sure. He is a genius, and this fragrance to me is perfection. This is Fragrance du Bois Cannabis Blue. Now I actually have the Cannabis Intense, I believe, and I own it, I've tried it, it's nice, but for me personally, I prefer the Cannabis Blue. And the reason is because this has this beautiful mintiness to the scent. It definitely has a prominent cannabis note, but not in the way of Nasmato Black Afghano or something with a very like heavy cannabis note. The cannabis is present, but the mintiness just complements it so well. There's a freshness, there's a slight like sweetness to it, like very slight. It's very fresh, it's very surprisingly uplifting. And to me, it's just fantastic. Like I see this one spring, summer, night out in the spring and summer, anything. Like I just adore this scent, and I really highly recommend that you check it out. And the Cannabis Intense was actually made and created by one of my favorite people in Dubai. His name's Shadi, and he's a great friend of mine, but I'm gonna go ahead and recommend the one that he didn't create, which is Cannabis Blue by Christian Carbonell, because for me, this one is better. It's fresher, it has this very addictive note to it, probably the cannabis, and it's just incredible. So definitely check this one out for the spring and summer. It's unique and it is amazing. Cannabis Blue from Fragrance du Bois. Also, I love the Oud Blue Intense. I don't have it here with me, but it's also a great one. Guys, you have to check out the House of Fragrance du Bois. Like for me, they have some incredible scents, and I don't hear much about them at all. Okay, so next up we have the new Dior Homme. Dior Homme 2020, which actually I just wore this to the gym the other day because for me, it's so good. Like it's so good, and people are hating on it just because it doesn't really have the DNA of the original Dior Homme. It's definitely a different fragrance. To me, they should have released this one as a completely different scent, and I think it would have done so well, but whatever. Dior Homme 2020, it's aromatic, fresh, very, very pleasing. Like in this list, it's probably like the most pleasing fragrance that I've ever tried. It just smells like you like it. Like you just like this fragrance. It smells good, it lasts a long time, it's aromatic, it's slightly musky. It just smells good. Like it's definitely not a fragrance that's gonna blow your mind. It might not be your favorite fragrance ever, but for me personally as a girl, it smells very nice. Like very, very, very nice, and something very easy to just grab and go with in the spring and summertime. So Dior Homme 2020, for me it gets a big fat tick. I really love this scent and I recommend that you check it out. Okay, so next up, the king. I had to include this one because to me it's just fantastic for the spring and summer. Really, like I have a really good batch here of Ventus and it just smells great. So it's pineapple, fresh, musky, incensey, but for me this one is very pineapple-y, which I adore. Bergamot, pineapple, it's invigorating, juicy, long-lasting. It's a great scent. They have a lot of batch inconsistencies nowadays, especially because now Creed has been sold, so I can't imagine what's going to happen. But if you have an old batch, if you can find an old batch, it's a great fragrance, especially for the spring and summertime. Ventus. Okay, so next up we're going to throw it back. We're going to throw it all the way back. Pacific Rock Moss by Goldfield and Banks. Still one of my favorite fragrances for the spring and summer. I'll forever say it, no matter how much hate I got towards myself when I first started talking about this scent. I still love it. It's, again, fresh, tropical, slightly salty, aquatic, juicy, very juicy. Like that's the thing that I love about this scent. It's juicy, it's fresh, it's tropical, it's just so good. And they've actually reworked this juice, I believe. I don't know because I haven't spoke with the owner for a long time, but I'm pretty sure that they've like kind of done something to the juice because it lasts a lot longer now. This is one of the newer bottles and it lasts a lot longer than the one that I have at home. And the sprayer is also different, like the sprayer. It's also different to the previous bottle. So I feel like they've kind of invested a lot in Pacific Rock Moss to try and make it better, because it's a very big seller from this house. For a good reason, it's one of the best. It's very fresh, like I just said, and perfect for the spring and summertime. Like for me, this is one of the best summer scents that you could own, just because of the way it smells, how pleasing it is, and yeah, Pacific Rock Moss from Goldfield and Bank, fantastic fragrance. And if you buy a bottle now, chances are the longevity will be much better than the one that you owned from a few years ago. So yeah. Okay, and finally we have a Christian Dior, last one. It is from the amazing Christian Dior line and it is Ombre Nuit. Now for me, this one is perfect for the springtime, especially day, night, date, night out, whatever you're doing, Ombre Nuit is perfection. I adore it. I've actually spoke with a lot of people from the industry and so many of them are just in love with Ombre Nuit, and for a good reason. I feel like if you know fragrances, you really highly respect this scent because of how well it's being composed. It's rose, it's ambergris, it's bergamot, it's pink pepper, it's very fizzy, it's romantic, sensual, like it's very, very, very sensual, spicy but not too much. It's just incredible. And for me, like, I die for this fragrance. If I smell it on a guy, it makes me just fall in love, really. So Ombre Nuit from Christian Dior, I highly recommend it, especially like I said for the springtime. It's perfect. That fizzy pepperiness with the ambergris, the rose, but the rose is not too much, so don't worry. It's just amazing. So I love this fragrance and I highly recommend it. That is it, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed hearing about my top recommendations for the spring and summer. I hope this video wasn't too long. I tried to go through very quickly. Like I said, I don't have all my fragrances here, but I feel like this was a very good list and they're all fragrances that I adore, especially this time of year in the spring and summertime. So thank you guys so much for watching and I will talk to you soon. Bye.